Welcome to State Scoop TV. I'm Jake Williams. We're here with Craig Orgeron, the CIO for the state of Mississippi. Craig, how you doing?
Hey Jake, good to see you.
Good to see you. So Craig, we're here at NASCIO Midyear 2017, day 2, and we're talking about priorities. We're talking about all things technology. What are your priorities for the year ahead, and how have they changed over the last year or
so busy year for us. We're rebidding our entire state network. So we've invited the universities, community colleges, schools, libraries to the table to make that rebid. That's a big deal because connectivity is a big deal in our state, but the education community, so virtual classroom stuff, there's a lot of technology you can enable in that space, so doing a lot of that. Lots of modernization efforts, legacy systems, either getting retooled completely, replatformed, and it's really across a lot of our agencies. We are, of course, focused on cyber, as always, and keeping our head down. I think a couple of changes maybe is we've got some budget times that are fairly tight in the state, so we're paying attention to how can IT help make us more efficient and control costs along the way, which is something we always focus on.
So with something as big as rebidding a network or even modernization efforts and budget efforts, there's a lot of enterprise visioning and strategy that goes into that. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that process for you, and how are you planning on and executing some of these big projects?
Yeah, so there are things that when I say internally, there are things that we initiate internally. But let me give you two examples. So when we were doing the network rebid, I've got authority in code to actually form an advisory council formally. So we seat these people around the table, and we have spent the better part of 8 months asking where can we go together. And I think that engagement is important. We have an ongoing security council that does the same thing, and a newly formed cloud services advisory council. So that part of the code in my enabling statute I love, because it allows me to say, hey, let's really think about where the state needs to go. So that's where we want to create those visions. We want to be about enabling the agencies to accomplish their mission for the citizens of the state, and that's where we keep our eye focused. Thanks.
At conferences like these, we use a lot of buzzwords, right?
Yeah.
We talk a lot about these kind of buzzwords. What's the biggest buzzword that you find yourself getting tired of, and how are you channeling the ideas it represents into some action in your state?
So this may get me in a small line of trouble. Cloud, probably, because in the most generic sense, people go there. It's actually the second part of your question. You need to get much more specific about it, right? It's a set of tools in the toolbox to solve problems. It tends to get thrown around more generically. Cloud this, cloud that, we'll take it to the cloud. And in reality, there's a whole lot more real meticulous work to be brought to it. So probably not uncommon, from a hype perspective of where it's going, but I would say it fits in that category these days, yeah.
And how are you mentioned some of the councils that you formed to do some of these big projects, but tell me a little bit more about how you're working to collaborate outside the boundaries of your agency, and what have some of the challenges that have come along with that collaboration been?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think about the IHLs, the higher institution that we have in our state. I think about local governments, right? Really trying to help them as they struggle with cyber assessments in local governments. We actually have had some conversations with partners helping locals outside of our agency ingest cloud, or maybe put contracts in place that I would sign that we can share. So I like it. I don't see a lot of downsides to it. It helps expand the enterprise, hopefully drive points down, and negotiation potential up to do those things.
And another thing that we talk about at conferences like NASCIO, and when we talk about things like cloud and we talk about things like modernization, emerging technology comes to the forefront because all of those things enable each other. How has emerging technology really changed the way that you do business in your state, and how is it helping you solve problems and deliver services?
So one of the points that hit me about that was our legislature this year passed a bill. I kind of think of it as a strategic data management or big data bill. It's going to set up a study group. We've met already once, and we're going to get started in the summer. And I'm really excited about that, right? Just hoping to have influence on the group to consider how conflating data from different sources can really solve some policy problems. And I think that emerging, if not technology idea in our state could really, really help us.
That's exciting. I remember hearing you
Yep,
almost a
yep.
year ago talking about that.
It passed.
So, yeah.
It passed. The bill passed. So again, it's a study, but I think it'll allow. And I think there's maybe, 6 to 10 agency heads from the biggest agencies, and I'm very hopeful that dialogue will really open some doors for us.
That's awesome. Look
Yeah.
forward to hearing more about
Yeah,
that.
all right.
Craig, thanks for being with
Yeah,
us.
man. Thank you.
For more about what Craig's working on in the great state of Mississippi, check out statescoop.com and subscribe to the Daily Scoop e-newsletter, which hits your inboxes every single morning. I'm Jake Williams, Manager of Strategic Initiatives for State Scoop, here with Craig Orgeron, the CIO of Mississippi. Thanks for watching.